Hello and welcome back to Spriteguard Plays Hyper Rogue. Today we are sent right back to the beginning. We're going to be starting out a new adventure, and we'll be doing basically the same beginning, in this episode at least, that we always do, with a little bit of a twist. I do want to kind of talk, to begin with, a little bit about our plans. So this time around, what I would like to do is I would like to focus on some of the more linear parts of this game, and also focus on... Basically, we're going to focus on two of my favorite aspects of this game. One is the more linear portions of the game, where you have sublands and kind of a sequence of unlocks. So things like the Lost Mountain and the clearing. The other thing that I really want to focus on is giants. And so, to begin with, we're going to be focusing on getting to the dragons and the clearing. And we'll be doing those one at a time. I also want to do the tortoise quest, because that's kind of a nice linear thing where you have subworlds within subworlds. And it's pretty enjoyable. And so that's the basic rough outline of the plan that I want to do. And of course, the odds of plans going astray is basically 1. And so who knows how things are going to actually play out once we get into the meat of the game, which should not be too long. One of the many very nice kind of friendly things about this game is that nothing is ever particularly far away. You know, a lot of roguelikes are incredibly long. You can spend like 15 hours trying to get someplace. And even shorter ones, it can take several hours to get to some of the endgame areas. This game, you know, there's some stuff that takes upwards of 2 hours. Hyperstones can take over 2 hours, but that's the very end game. There's basically nothing in the game that takes longer than that. And so it's really nice. It's a very dense branching. And so when you start out, you know, you end up doing a lot of the same stuff that you do every time, but it does not take very long at all before you can start doing other things, before you can start really taking a new route that's different from the route you took before. And so, you know, right away, I don't think we went into the desert at all last time. Now, in order to get our 20 different kills, we're going to have to go into a lot of different lands, and so that's going to force us to do some more exploring than we usually do, and kind of visit some places that we don't often think to visit, because, like, the Orb of Shielding is not very strong. It's not very useful. And so it's not something that I usually pursue. But going through the desert, you know, it's going to move us closer to Hyperstones, which is always a consideration. And it's going to move us closer to the Dragon Chasms. Now, I'm really not at all good at killing these sandworms. I'm not really sure even how to approach it. And so we're not really going to mess with that right now. We can definitely get the kills that we need in other ways. We do want to head into the Land of Eternal Motion to get those Phoenix Feathers so that we'll be able to save later on, especially if we are in fairly deep lands. Like if we're on a very long tortoise quest, we would like to have the opportunity to save in the middle of that, and hopefully not incur too much of a penalty, because if you have to leave the Galapagos while you are on a tortoise quest, you don't actually know if you're going to be able to find your way back to the depth that you're already at. And so you can lose a considerable amount of ground there. Now, I imagine with the Orb of Safety, you could very easily be sent to a land that is very far from your goal as well. But you don't have to hunt your way through the dragon chasms to get back there. And so, that should make things at least a little bit more convenient, if not necessarily any easier. We are at 24, we need one more Phoenix Feather before we can start finding our way out of here. And we do want to be a little bit careful because, when you get to 25 treasures, this land is still on the easier side, but it becomes a lot more dangerous. It's not free the way that it is. Now, we can get several different kinds of kill in the palace, and so that's, I think, the next place that we're going to go to. This is very useful. And we do want to pick up some Hypersian rugs so that we can start summoning some of the more difficult enemies in this land. We can get the skeleton kills, the fat guards, maybe even the vizier. Though it can take actually more Hypersian rugs than I would like to gather in order to summon those. And not really much of anything coming after us right now. I did see a crossroads on the other side of that Land of Storms, but I think it's a little bit premature to actually try and go in there. I'm going to gather up 10 Hypersian rugs. That should increase the difficulty level, and then we'll just be looking for enemies. And there is a fat guard for us. And now we're just kind of scanning around. Are there any more of the palace guards? I'm not seeing them. I'm kind of surprised at how little opposition we're encountering. It might be useful to just jump into the ivory tower and get, we can hopefully get a familiar and a gargoyle while we're in here. Now, I did find out, and it makes perfect sense, that you actually, the more ivory figurines you have, the deeper you need to go in to be able to find anything. So there's our 2 kills from here. And it looks like we have 8 types now. Let me just check the overview to make sure that I am not misremembering the way that the dragon chasms work. I did not know you could just scroll through this with the mouse wheel. That's very nice. Yes, different kills required 20. We have 8 out of 20. Okay. Yep, 8 out of 20. So we're going to grab this Orb of Safety, and that actually drops us into the crossroads. I was kind of wondering that because I know that lands with a unique direction, the Orb of Safety will not take you into that land because there is no such thing as a random location. What I didn't know was whether it took you to the surrounding land or if it took you to the crossroads. And it appears that in the case of the Ivory Tower, it takes you to the crossroads. So in the next episode, we will be continuing to try and get a few more unique kills. We do need to go back to the palace in order to get those, but we have quite a few different lands unlocked for us, so it shouldn't take us too long to be able to get into the dragon chasms, and then we will be ready to start fighting dragons. So, just like that, even in this first episode, we're already doing things quite a bit differently and laying the groundwork for what we're going to be doing in the future. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.